Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Red Letter Challenge, day 14. Once again, I am recording from my daughter's house, but this will be the last one recorded here, as hopefully sometime today, the boys' mom and dad, Julian and Eli's mom and dad, will be coming home today, and I will be released or relieved of my duties. Bittersweet moment, but I've got more work to do at home. So, today we're going to continue talking about forgiveness. And in order to display the shocking nature of God's grace and forgiveness, we're going to have to look at a story from John chapter 8. We need to start with this story today so you can better understand the context of our devotion today. So this story comes from John chapter 7. It begins with verse 53 and continues on to John chapter 8, to the first half of verse 11. Again, John chapter 7 and 8. We read, They each went to his own house, but Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning he came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? They said this to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger in the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said, Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more. Through the months of September and October at Our Redeemer, our gospel lessons read in worship showed Jesus teaching those who were following him. And the Pharisees were always part of the story, just hanging around, looking for ways to get evidence against Jesus. And this is the moment they were waiting for. Jesus, they said, the law tells us that this woman must be punished. The law tells us. What do you say? Kind of a tough question placed on Jesus. They've caught him in a contradiction in front of his disciples. If he answers, yes, stone her, that seems to go against everything that he had been teaching. But if he says, no, you can't stone her, he would seem to be relaxing his morals. It's a tough question, but God can handle tough questions. The tricking, hypocritical Pharisees, they think they've got Jesus, but they're overmatched. And before Jesus answers, he takes his finger and he doodles in the dirt. So they kept questioning him, trying to get his attention. And finally, Jesus responds, Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. Cue the crickets. There is silence. They have no answer. Jesus has sneaked his way out of the situation. And what does he do? He goes on doodling in the dirt. And all the people start to leave. Scholars have debated, what has Jesus written in the dirt? Some think that maybe he was writing a Bible verse. Others think that he was writing the commandments. Others have suggested that he started writing down the names of those who were holding stones and writing down their sins. The story that the older ones left first. The story said that the older ones left first. Why? Well, because they had the longest list of sins against them. In a sense, Jesus was saying, so you want to talk about dirt? Let's talk about dirt. I know stuff about you. The reality is, there is only one person left who is without sin, and that's Jesus. What is he going to do? We get a clue from the reading from John chapter 3, verse 17. Notice I didn't say verse 16. Jesus did not come into the world to condemn the world, but to save it. Jesus could have picked up a rock and thrown it at that woman. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. That was his own saying. He was without sin. He could have cast the first stone. And according to the law, he would have been justified. But in this story, Jesus' eyes are not focused on finding the rock. Instead, they are filled with mercy and love for this woman. Jesus didn't accuse her. And the better news is, he doesn't accuse us. The world accuses you. Satan will throw rocks at you. He will remind you of what you have said, what you did, and what you have left undone. The problem is that many of us spend more time listening to the accusations of the enemy than to the truth of the gospel. The only one who had a rock to throw didn't even pick one up. Jesus doesn't throw rocks at us. Instead, he does just the opposite. He doesn't care about your past. He's not concerned about where you've been or who you've hung out with. God loves you for who you are. He will take you as who you are. You are forgiven of all the dirt that has been part of your lives. And as a forgiven child of God, Jesus asks one thing of you. Drop your rocks for others and for yourselves. Can you forgive others? Can you forgive yourself? Jesus came to seek and save those who were lost, those who were mired in sin, and that includes all of us. So today is a day to drop our rocks. We all have certain sins that really bother us. Sins that other people commit and sins that we ourselves commit. Forgive them. Drop the rocks and pray today that the Lord would help keep our lives rock-free. May God bless your day. I know he will. Amen.